I'm Dr. Rachel Northern. Thanks for coming out today. And my big crowd I got here in the chamber office. And I'm a family wellness chiropractor, and I emphasize wellness because I like people to thrive, not just get out of pain. So the topic today is I'm talking about healthy, how to choose healthy diet and supplementation. And so I'm kind of going to go back to the basis of why. I always like to start my stories and my talks about why. So first off, my mission is to provide natural care to our patients through chiropractic nutrition and wellness education. And we strive to help our patients reach their goals of optimum health and function. So my goal is to try to not only, like I said, get you out of pain, but live healthier lives. So what does health mean to you, Heather?
Not picking up all these flu and things that are going around.
So not getting sick, okay, or not having symptoms. The average person we walk up to on the street will say, feeling good. I think health is just feeling good. And so as long as we don't have any symptoms, we perceive that we're healthy. Do you think that is true? You have no symptoms, that means you're healthy.
No.
Yeah. Okay, good. So this is most people that come into my office. Pain means problem, no pain means no problem. So then I go, okay, I just had a patient that came in a couple weeks ago. He had a heart attack over the summer. I said, did you have any symptoms before your heart attack? And he's like, no. I said, did you have the problem before your heart attack? He's like, yes. I said, good answer. So can you have a problem without pain? He's like, yes. So sometimes you have to think about it. I've had many patients that, patients that I've had, friends of family, who thought they were fine, felt fine. I had one particular patient, the white of her eyes turned yellow, and she found out she had pancreatic cancer, was gone in like 3 to 4 months. So, she had no pain, she felt great, just this color changed in her eyes. That was the symptom that flagged the doctor something was wrong. So you cannot rely on pain to always predict health. And so in my office, I do a lot of scans, so I do have a couple complimentary scan cards here. If you want to come into the office and get these scans, I do scans. I do a thermal scan, I do a surface EMG scan, and we sometimes do a heart variability scan, so this measures not just your pain, but it measures what's going on in the other systems of your body, your muscle tone balance, your thermal balance, your sympathetic parasympathetic system balance, so if you're in fight or flight or rest and digest. So I look at the other 85% that's not related to pain as well. So our society always wants to look at the tip of the iceberg and not always the underlying causes. Sometimes we're even band-aiding with drugs. We have this opioid epidemic going on, a pain reliever epidemic. We have so many people dying. Last study I just read a couple days ago, we have 130 people dying a day from opioids, which is those pain relievers. And so this is not good. We can't just band-aid things or cover up pain too, because the pain means there's something going on. So health is really a condition of wholeness where all organs are functioning 100% of the time. That's optimal health. We want everything working and functioning. And we want to maintain a homeostasis. We want to make sure everything's balanced, that we're being able to adapt. We right now have been predicted to have a roller coaster winter, and that weather changes up and down, up and down. That's very stressful on our body. So I am anticipating, colds and sicknesses being a little bit, more frequent this year possibly than years past because of that stress on the body. Now, I personally then recommend, and we'll talk about later, what I recommend to help make your body better to adapt, better to maintain this homeostasis. So there is an innate intelligence in our body that helps us to adapt. It's amazing how we can cut our finger. You got a fingerprint there that's unique to you. You cut your finger, the body heals itself. You don't have to put Neosporin in it. You don't put any antibiotic on it. It'll heal itself, and you get the exact fingerprint, the ridges right back over, which is unique to you. It's pretty amazing how smart the body is. So I always like to try to work with the body, and when the body communicates symptoms, I go, okay, what's going on? Why is the symptoms there? And I believe between making sure the nervous system is working, and make sure the structure, and make sure we're putting the proper nutrients in to rebuild the big building blocks in our body to heal. Because sometimes, we'll talk about this later, we're lacking nutrients, so the body can't do what it needs to do. And then obviously the other component is our stress. How are we mentally handling it? Are we have healthy social system, healthy support systems? Are we just kind of constant state of stress, or are we getting enough sleep and things? So are you at risk? So these are the big killers. We have cancer, diabetes, heart disease, osteoporosis, and stroke, which are big killers. We're going to talk about this in a second because I got some graphs on this. So heart disease is still the #1 killer in our country, and cancer, we get respiratory, we have Alzheimer's, we have all these other things, diabetes, and majority of these things up here are lifestyle related, which means we're doing it to ourselves. It's what we put in here and what we're doing with our booty. Are we getting up? Are we, what are we putting in inside? Are we moving? Are we doing the things we do? Now, our society has been better about trying to get us more active with steps and things like that. So, everybody counts their steps nowadays. I hear this all the time. This is just common, like, in our society. Oh, I didn't get my steps, or I'm almost there to my steps. And I'm like, that's great that we are trying to move more, but we still have a long way ahead of us on our society. We are literally in a health crisis. And so the bad news is, longevity and health are not the same. So we are living longer right now with chronic diseases. So we're living longer, but we're living sick longer. So on medications, it's artificially boosting us. So we're living longer in a bed, or laying on the recliner, or with walkers, or with tubes hooked up to us, which we have all these medical interventions, but that doesn't make us healthier. And there's 2 different types of age we talk about. Chronological, which that's my birthday, like the real your real age of when you were born and carrying on, and biological age. So I talked about this 3 weeks ago. It's on my YouTube channel. So Rachel Northern, is it Dr. Rachel Northern? It's Dr. Rachel Northern. And my YouTube channel, I talked about the difference between biological age and chronological age. So the biological is the stress you put on your body, your self-inflicted stress. Now, some things, yes, we have some genetic weaknesses and that part too, but we have a lot of control of how our body's going to function if we treat it better, or if we don't treat it so good. And I came across a website where you can take a survey, and I can't remember right now, so you can go to my YouTube and look that up. And you can take a survey, and it asks you all these questions, like, are you a smoker, and how active you are, and it actually will let you know like what your biological age is. So I was like 18 years younger or something than so I was great, because I do get a comment, people are like, you don't look as old as you are. No, you can't have a son in college. And I'm like, yeah, I do. But I've been working on this for a couple decades. I mean, I started natural, healthy lifestyle changes back in my 20s, my early 20s. So I got on the bandwagon. I'm taking better care of myself early on. So, we talk about add life to your years versus years to your life. So, like I was talking about, we can artificially add years to our life. But you want to live old and not be able to do things? Or do you want to be able to live old and be vibrant and healthy? So, I did write a book, it's been out about 2 years, a little over 2 years, A Journey to Vibrant Health. You can get it on Amazon if you're interested. And I just give little tips about, what kind of things you can do to live a more vibrant life, so in your day-to-day. So, do you want to live, you got good health and vigor, and you can just start driving off, or do you want to sustain your vitality and your vigor? So this is, actually my office manager just updated this for me. This is the obesity chart, self-reported. This is actually from the CDC, reported. This is 2018, so it's a year old, last year's reports. And so this is the graph of obesity in our country per state and percentage of obesity. So the the ones with the lowest is the green, and then it goes to yellow, then like this pinkish color, and then the red. So the red is, I think, 35% of the population, okay? 35%, 30%, then I think it's like 25%, and then like Colorado, I think Hawaii's got like 20%. So obesity is not just overweight, it's another deviation away from overweight. It's where you're not only overweight, but it's gonna critically affect your health. So this chart has gotten more color and more color, darker colors every year they do this. It's getting worse and worse in our country. So how does obesity and just being overweight, what does it affect? So your risk here. So we can drop in our little balloons here. So it factors in, we have research showing it factors into cancer, high blood pressure, gallbladder. I have so many patients coming out where they just rip their gallbladder out because they've abused it already from greasy foods and fats. And usually it's about 30s and 40s. They're already taking these gallbladders out. They're already said, time out, I can't work anymore. You got to take me out because I can't do this diet that you're putting into me. Back pain, this is my thing because the bigger the belly, more stress it is on the back. We're going to start to have problems structurally, increased degeneration, knees, lumbar, sciatic pain. We have all these hysterectomies because the hormones, these foods affect our hormones as well. So there's a lot that this affects. So decisions. So I'm going to go back to our choices. So I kind of went Debbie Downer at the beginning, but we have choices. Like, what are you putting in? Are you putting in, garbage or jewels? What is it, jewels or garbage? Like, what are you doing? Like, is this you? Or are you just a manufactured process? And right now we're in the, coming up to Halloween, and everybody's got the candy and everything. Right here on the table, they got some candy. And so I'm like, I actually have bowls of fruit I have bowls of apples. We keep apples and nuts. And that's our snacks that we offer in our office. And I've even approached some of my banks and going, don't put the cookies out. Put like a fruit bowl out. Why don't you promote, help people?
That stuff goes bad though. Cookies last forever.
Right, exactly. So longevity and there's somewhat of a cost thing, but if you order in bulk, apples in bulk, it's not really that bad. And I even get organic because I want to offer the best to my patients that come in. So what are we choosing? What decisions are we doing? And there's more decisions we have. We have other things that are going to pollute us. What chemicals are you got under your sink? What are you burning? Cheap candles that have chemicals that can affect your lungs and cause allergy. And that's anything we breathe in or anything that's on our skin. So you got to be careful with your makeups. I've had patients that had hormonal imbalance, and it came back down to a makeup they had that had some hormones in their makeup, because the hormones will make you look nice and pretty, but it gets into your bloodstream and it throws off systems in your body. So these things that we don't think about, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, everything that's a non-food you put into your body, that body, like the liver particularly, has to turn that into a package to get it out, to filter it out of your body, because it can't use it for anything. So that taxes the liver, So there's all these things that we're doing. And then right now the big vaping thing that's big in the news and health, that our youth is, they say junior high and high school are the highest population using these vapes, even though you're not supposed to be able to get it until you're 18. And you're seeing these kids actually ending up in the hospital having serious problems. And then we've had a couple deaths already now because of this vaping. So that's chemicals you're putting into your lungs. It's very different from smoking. And it's having an accelerated effect on the lungs and having problems. So that you got to think about these things. So this is why Alabama, deep fried Twinkies. This is why Alabama and Mississippi have a lot of the fried stuff, and that's why they have one of the highest obesity rates. And this too. Don't believe all the packaging. We have so much packaging. America's Oreo, America's most healthiest cookie. New creamy tofu filling, 0 fat, 0 carbs, cholesterol free. You're like, okay, it's fortified. I mean, sometimes they're just like, oh, the package said it though. It says it's natural. Well, if you look, natural can be anything. So you got to pay attention. Don't get fooled by the packaging of things. You have to go back and read labels. You have to pay attention to these. I used to show it at talks, an organic Oreo package. They really was at the store, organic. I'm like, oh, that's great. Organic with all the other crap they put in there. So it's like you can make you feel a little bit better, but that's not better for you. So, why are so many people overweight today? So we eat too much. We eat too much of the wrong things. Not enough movement, not enough sleep, which we talked about, and poor liver function, because I said all these chemicals, everything we're being exposed to, the liver has to deal with that. So, here's like our thing. We have the highest amount of sugar intake ever in society. We eat more than, I think 80 times more sugar than we did 100 years ago. So that's pretty taxing. That's why, diabetes is skyrocketing, type 2 diabetes, all these things. So what choice are you making? Broccoli or this, or are you choosing other things? So talk about carbohydrate intake. So we're talking about more of the refined carbohydrates, like pasta, bread, sugar, that makes your insulin spike. Okay, so you make your glucose or blood sugar, which causes your insulin to spike, and that gives you energy. It converts it to energy for your cells to take in the glucose to function. But then if it's, if you've got a good balance, it's good. But if you have too much of that, then the liver has to convert it, then, it has to get stored, and then it just becomes this perpetual cycle. So what we want to look at is, what kind of carbs are you choosing? Are you doing really refined, or are you doing things that are more complex? We want to eat more complex food. We want to think foods that are closest to nature, less refined. So, and I don't like to attack carbohydrates, because everybody thinks low carb and all these things. And carb is not just like sugar or pasta or bread. We have carbs in vegetables. We have carbs in other things. So I don't want to attack carbs. It's choose healthy, natural, less refined carbs. So fruits and vegetables, and those things are good for you, because they have all these other things, which we're going to talk about in a second. So, again, high blood sugar, high insulin. So what happens with diabetes, if you don't understand, is the pancreas is the one that releases the insulin. And so it's sugar dump in, the insulin goes high, it spikes up, says, okay, we got to import this, we got to do something with sugar, use what we can. Then it drops down, and then we spike it again. And it's kind of like, if you're sitting there and you keep going, yell at somebody, hey, and then stop. And you're going to stress that person out eventually. If you keep shouting in their face every 15 minutes or so, it's like it's going to freak out. So what it does is it pretty much burns out the pancreas, the cells in the pancreas. And then they just say, I quit, I tap out, I'm done. So, what happens then, we have the weightless and insulin. So it's difficult to lose weight when we have these high levels, because it's going to keep pushing it through the system. So I'm going to go over what we do. So the answer is calorie reduction, optimal nutrition intake. So call yourself crony, pay attention to the carbs that you're eating. So vegetables are very low on calories. They don't have a lot of calories in them compared to all these other things. So you can eat tons of fruits and vegetables and not have a really high calorie intake. So you want more of that optimum nutrient density. You want those nutrients. So it's kind of, I'm dumbing it down, trying to keep it simple. I'm all about not about diets. I'm not about the diets, and we're going to talk about that, because it's okay, what to look at is okay, how much activity you're doing, what are you doing, what and how much food you're doing. So serving size is another thing in our country. Anytime I go out to eat anywhere, I only eat half the plate. It's 2 servings in my opinion. We are served 2 servings of food anywhere I go, out to dinner, out to lunch. It was funny because last year or 2 years ago we went to Canada for office training, and we went out to dinner somewhere, and it was they made it really nice looking, but they were little tiny cups that they put it was a barbecue place too on top of it, and they had a cup for the beans and a cup for the coleslaw, and I was looked at it, I was why does this smell? Because I'm so used to our American. I mean, it was like, but it was a perfect serving size. It was like actually good versus like we have like, you know, the plates overflowing and I was like, oh, look at they got the serving size thing figured out here, you know, even though it was like a barbecue place. And so I was like, well, that's great because it was like perfect. And so, like I said, I get 2 meals out of my thing, so you've got to pay attention on how much you're eating, serving size-wise. You know, are you stress eating or emotional eating? That's pretty much our society. You know, you're not really hungry, you're just bored, or you just want that insulin release or that endorphin release from eating. So you got to pay attention as, are you eating because you're hungry or not? So I tell people gut check. Like, okay, are you hungry here or are you hungry here? Like, where are you actually hungry? You know, we talked about age and your health status. Really important too, I stress that one, just a little side note about just getting your omega fats. Omega-3 fats. We just started a test in our office. It's actually a little blood prick test, and we can actually measure how much omega is in your cells. And we can see if you're opting like your ratio, if you're in the proper ratio or not. So then we know, okay, where we're gonna, you know, and it's a before and after. So we do one test, and then we wait 3 months, you know, see where you're at, try to increase your omega intake, and see if we can get you dialed in where you need to be. So it's a really cool test. With that too, it also is that's like the analytical test, but it also has a functional test where you do a tap test for 15 minutes to see how your responsiveness is on your brain, and then we do that again, and cool to see just your function of how well your brain improves with omegas. And this actually test was developed with a doctor that was working with the military out in, you know, overseas, and we have a high instance of the PTSD and depression and suicide rates, and he was noticing a correlation because they're not fed well, same thing, and he was knowing some good correlations when they increase the omegas, and you're getting less of that. It starts to kind of drop those numbers down. So omega fats are really important for your brain. So that's a cold water fish, flaxseed oil. There's a bunch of different resources. And, you know, again, I was just talking about this earlier, the complexity of food. Like when you're just getting a pasta carb, you're going to get like 2 things or 3 things on this list. This is a phytonutrient. So a carrot has all this stuff. Beta carotene is just one little component of carrots. One little component. It's got 100 all these little phytonutrients, and you hear on the news like every other week you'll hear, oh, blueberries has this one thing we found that's anti-carcinogenic, and I'm like, oh, we didn't know that was there before. But you know, it's funny how if you just eat it, nature knows what we need. It's all packaged in there. Your body can process it. A lot of like vegetables already got its own enzymes in it to stimulate the digestion process. So keep things as close to nature as possible. So you know, our bodies are very complex, so we need to have food that are complex, not so simple. You know, the power of fruits and vegetables. And our society, do you know how many servings of fruits and vegetables, like our kids, like recent surveys have said that our kids eat a day?
Probably
1 to 2. Okay. They said if you can increase, I think they said 1 vegetable a day can decrease like their obesity rates by like 10% or something, like just adding another vegetable in a day. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when they do these surveys, they're counting ketchup and french fries. They're counting french fries as a potato and ketchup as a tomato. And I was like, nah, not the same.
Oh,
so,
darn.
yes. Craziness.
But you have to be careful of too much fruit also, because fruit's got a lot of sugar in it.
Well, fruit's got a
Natural
lot of
sugar.
right,
but
you want more complex. And
Right.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute,
Okay.
too. I'm going to address that. This chart's kind of hard to see, but this is Rutgers University study. This is about a couple decades ago, but they were comparing organic versus commercial. So I'm big on organic because you get a lot more of your nutrients in organic. It's just not getting rid of the preservatives. Like most people think, oh, it's cleaner, but it's not just that. It doesn't have the preservatives or the toxins on it. They actually make sure that they're rotating the crops and getting the nutrients into the soil. You know, so then the crops getting the soil, so the vegetables and fruits are getting the good nutrients in there too. So it's not, you're getting actually more phytonutrients in organic versus commercial bought things. So do the best you can. You know, there's a lot of, Aldi's is doing a really good job of having a lot of good organic, clean organic produce and other things, you know, so I'm really, and also trying to eliminate the preservatives and food colorings too, and a lot of their stuff.
And the price
Yeah,
It
and
is.
you,
I
yeah,
mean, we
it's-
always would say,
yeah.
you know, how come eating healthy is so expensive?
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
all
they're
these-
figuring
all
out the
these-
deal
I
with. Yeah,
know,
they're figuring
I
it
know.
out. They're figuring it
I
out,
was
and they care about us, which is
Yeah.
good because they want to help society. So that's what's great. So when I was a couple months ago, I was back in my my college, my chiropractic college that I graduated from, and we took some classes. And one class was just food as exercise, and how amazing just exercise alone helps a lot of these things. Helps us first off break down use up that sugar, burn that fat. But diet and exercise are the most important factors in a person's risk for developing cancer. And they went through this hour and they were talking about cancer, they were talking about headaches, they were talking about all these things that, like, just diet and exercise can reverse so many things in our society. So 1/3 of cancer deaths are related to diet and activity factors. It's probably even more than that, 50%, I would say. But, that's what they have some studies on. And again, because of malnutrition, because we're getting too many calories, not enough nutrients, and we also all these toxins. So the fad diets. So I am I've been in practice 16 years now. I've seen, 5 probably different diets go through the regimen. You have Atkins and South Beach, and now we got intermittent and keto. And when you go back to the basics, it's, again, the keto's working, and I don't like it for long term, because you're getting rid of all the simple carbs. You're getting rid of all the refined. And unfortunately, you're switching to all heavy fats. And the problem with that's fine short term. And don't get me wrong, I have a ton of patients losing a ton of weight on it. But you have to be careful long term, because those fats eventually are going to cause problems on the heart and other things. So long term, not so good. I think it's just working because you're eliminating the sugar. You're eliminating your refined carbs and your sugar, which is what I was talking about. So I'm more about that lifestyle, and it's harder to sustain that lifestyle long term as well. I'm all about trying to have a lifestyle change. Trying to eat, your serving size. It's choosing your fruits and vegetables, those kind of things. So there's, still looking for it. I just said, reduced calorie, optimal nutrition intake. Pay attention to the amount of food you're eating and the quality of the food you're eating. So, where do you begin? You want to, decrease your BMI. You want to regulate your sugar. You want to make sure your blood pressure is better. Managing your chronic inflammation, which goes back to like the omegas. Omega fats also are anti-inflammatory. Making sure your liver is processing properly. Energy production. Immune. All this factors in. So one diet I do do in the office, a short-term diet, is I do suggest people do it at least once or twice a year, is elimination diet or purification diet, or detoxification is another thing. So what that does is you're set aside, and this sometimes will help jumpstart somebody to change their lifestyle, to get that changed. And what I recommend, this is Standard Plus is a company I have, but Shackley has a company. There's other companies. Pam, you have a company that has these like more short-term programs and maybe long-term programs. And Standard Plus is just, they're a whole food. Again, like if you look at the labels, it's actually got beetroot in it, and milk thistle, and things that stimulate, the liver to clear. And it's also got, barley grass, and like just all these rich things, which nowadays it's so funny because people don't eat, I'll be like, do you eat beets? And they're like, meat? Do I eat meat? I'm like, no, beets. Do you eat beets? They're like, a beet? Like, who eats beets? I had one girl at high school last week, she was like, oh, I'm thinking of radishes. Yeah, no, I don't eat beets. So, it's just people don't really even know these vegetables at the time in our society, much less eat them. So it's kind of nice because it's in a shake form and you can get it in, and we can get them started, get some nutrients in to kind of get the body started. But then at the same time, I am anti any of those diets where you are not eating at all for long periods of time, doing I think there's a detox diet out there where it's maple syrup and water and lemon juice or something like that for multiple days, and you're not eating anything. Right now, our society is so sick that is not healthy. Your body cannot sustain that because you don't have any nutrient reserves to help preserve your body through it. So I'm all about you have we give a handout of like what foods you can eat, or which are all fruits and vegetables and healthy proteins and healthy fats, and what portion sizes we recommend, and we give a couple of diet ideas and things like that, and recipes to kind of get you started and monitor you through it, but trying to get that just start a change. And it's amazing because usually the first couple of days people feel awful and they have like a detox effect, and then after that they're like, oh my gosh, I sleep better, I'm not as achy, I can think better, I feel like a veil has been lifted. I have so many of these comments, and it's like, okay, now you felt the benefits of it, let's continue this lifestyle. I'm not saying you have to do these intensity shakes anymore, though. Like me myself, like three mornings a week I usually do a shake, just just to keep my nutrient intake up, and I know it's healthy. I know I'm not the cook of the house. My husband is the cook of the house, and so I don't like to cook. I don't like being in the kitchen. That's my confession, guys. So I'm all about convenience and health, as healthy as I can. I buy the organic templed carrots, because I know I'm not going to prep them. So I do those things. I know the importance of those things, so I do the best I can. So I do these shakes to make sure I'm keeping my nutrient level up. So what's best to do is incorporate, the healthy healing habits. Habits take time to start. So sometimes, like I said, that's why I say twice a year, try to do these detox diet. First off, to help clean the liver out, because it does have some herbs in there to clean the liver out. Just like you get your oil filter changed in your car, every so often, you need to do the same, kind of like help the filter of our body kind of clean that out once in a while. But it gets you also like back on track. Every time I've done it, I've like eliminated something that when I go back to eat it, all of a sudden I taste something, I'm like, ew, like this is gross. Like I didn't taste that before, because it kind of refines your taste buds. It's amazing how we've dumbed down our taste buds. It's like that frog you throw in the boiling pot, it jumps out, but if you put it in and turn it up slowly, it boils to death. And that's kind of what we're doing with our society today. You want high antioxidants. You want to achieve, your body composition. Pay attention to, like, I'm not big about weight either, because I have some, paying attention to the scale. So many people are obsessed with scale, like weighing themselves, and it just becomes unhealthy at some point. I'm more about, like, is your clothes fitting better? Inches, because some people all do this and then they start working out more and they're building more muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat, so sometimes you have that crossover, and I'll have people that are, they're like switching that over, and they're like, I'm not losing weight, but I'm looking thinner, and I'm like, yeah, let's not pay attention to the scale right now. And that's another thing I got really aggravated with on some of these charts. I have a friend who's like, I think he's like 5 or 6 foot, like 4, very like built, just thick. And he went to his doctor. He's a union worker, and he went to his doctor, and they were weighing him for his like annual checkup or whatever. And they said, you're in obesity, obesity scale. And they're like, you're obese, and we need to check you for these things. And he's like, his blood work was great. And you're looking at him, he didn't have the belly. He was just thick. And I'm like, you can't rely on a chart. They were relying on this chart. You got to look at the person and say, what do they look like? Again, another thing too. Earlier this week, last week, I had a mother. I treat kids. I have pediatric certification. I had a mother saying she was thinking about putting her 8-year-old on a diet. And I said, I don't like the word diet. I said, you could do some meal planning. And I've said, whatever. I go, she's going to go through a growth spurt. I'm like, she had a little bit of here, a little bit here. I'm like, just take the sugars out, do some change get some healthy, like I'm talking about, get more fruits and vegetables in, eliminate the sugars, eliminate the treats. And I go, but do not say the diet word to her at this age. Do not pollute her already at this age. I said, say no. You were just look. You make some healthier choices. We're gonna make, I sort of just vocabulary too with something like healthier choices. Do not start doing that. Try to eliminate like the snacking, or change the snacking to healthier snacking. More, your carrot sticks, or your nuts and things that are rich in your nutrients, that are more balanced. You want to make sure you're gentle on yourself. You've got to give yourself some compassion. It takes time. You know, so many people just think you can just jump on a bike and, you know, ride. You know, you don't think that. We learned how to ride a bike. We had the training wheels. We, you know, went through the stages. Nobody just gets up and just jumps on and rides away. Maybe there are some people, but most people don't. And you want to make sure you're paying attention to your body and your physiology. Everybody is a little different. We have our own uniqueness as well. So you need to pay attention to those things. I'm going to skip that. We kind of talked about that. Another thing, too, is positive attitude, which I was just talking about, being gentle, self-compassion. If you're negative, there's research showing negative energy just makes you maintain that weight. It releases the cortisol, the negative hormones that will retain fat. So you don't want to do that. You know, are you ready for change? Are you wanting to start something, even if it just starts small, one step at a time? You know, what are you doing for self? You know, do you have this negative self-image? Or you need to start changing that. I'm really happy. I have one patient that started, you know, a couple of years ago now, started this weight loss regimen, and she actually went to the counselor, and it was great because she had all these negative things, and she said that was a phenomenal thing that helped her finally keep the weight off and, you know, actually go and sustain it. Because if you're not changing your mindset of who you are and how you feel about yourself, you're gonna probably self-sabotage yourself and keep, you know, doing that to yourself. So you've got to have, there's like self-love out there. I like Brene Brown. Look up her TED Talks. There's a lot of things that go on with her. She says you can't love somebody else more than you love yourself. You gotta boost that, and that does manifest physically in your body. So, you know, you want to eat for the long haul. So when I go somewhere and I'm traveling or anything, I look at a menu and I look, how is it going to make me feel an hour or 2 hours later? You know, is it gonna, how it's going to feel? Not that immediate, that shake will be great. Oh, I want that chocolate shake. And once in a while, I do splurge. Once in a while, I am human. I'll have my, like, I love, like, the Culver's, like, whatever, they got, like, the turtle. I love the turtle. I like nuts. I always do, like, nuts with things, and I like, and also I have candy and stuff like that, but it's like, I have one thing. I usually share it with my kids. It's not like I eat this big thing. And so, and I was like, oh, that was great, good, and usually it's like, but if I will forsake that, if I know I have an event like this, I need to talk, and I want my brain on, ready to go and ready to fire, then I'll be like, okay, I'll pass, because I got other things I need my brain for, and I don't want to feel like I know it's going to probably take me later, that kind of thing. So I always think about, I look at it, I say, what's going to make me feel in the long run? What am I investing in? Am I investing in, my health right now, or do I need that little self-compassion right now? But too many people are like right now, we're such gratification right now in our society. We need to learn to delay that. We need to learn to think about the long term. And at the same time, though, there is great healthy things that we can eat. I mean, just berries and strawberries by themselves are tasty. So we got to think about, like, what is a real treat to us. So you want to start, eating for good health. And eating for like that weight, they're the same. Just eating for health. Just thinking about treating this body, honoring this body that we have. We're the only ones that live in it. We're the ones that need to take care of it. And, nobody else is going to do it for us. So so the main thing is what you have to do is I tell people is try to do the well-balanced diet. I'm big on protein too. 3 servings of protein I recommend highly a day. Because I do ask people about their diet and history when patients come in, and majority of the time, people are probably getting 1, maybe 2 servings of protein a day. And protein's important. I mean, it's part of our skin. It's part of our muscle. If we're not putting in, unless they're like bodybuilders or something like that, then they're like, the other extreme. They're like 5 servings because they want to make sure they maintain their muscle. But majority of the average population that I come into my office, at least, they're not getting enough protein. So I push that a lot in those. You want to eat, I always say twice as much vegetables as fruit. So Pam was talking about, fruit does have sugar. There is natural sugar in there. And there's also fiber though, also in fruit, and I mean there's more fiber in vegetables, so that kind of balances that out. Plus it's more complex sugars versus just straight glucose, which is in a lot of what in like our pastas or sugars, just straight glucose. You want it, they're more complex, so the liver, it does have to break it down a little bit, so it's not instantly dumped into the bloodstream. The liver still has to, slice it up a little bit. It's not, and so that slower process and slower dumping into the bloodstream. So I always kind of tell people vegetables with meals, fruits for snack. So like I generally, like every other day, have an apple, and I usually always pair it with like a nut butter or some trail mix, some nuts. So I like that little combo for myself. Those are like my snacks, or a banana and peanut butter, or those kind of things. Those are kind of my go-tos are cranberries, dried cranberries. I like figs as well. So those kind of things are usually my snacks. And if you have any questions on these, if you want more dialed in for your unique needs, like I said, everybody's a little different. So I do try to work with people where they're at, and like I said, sometimes they just need a boost to get started, and we kind of get them started, and then we can get them to the next level and the next level. And that's, I like helping people with these things that want to just try to be better about themselves. Supplements. So I do recommend supplements to overcome the nutritional gap. So even if you do try to eat, all these fruits and vegetables, 5 to 7 fruits and vegetables that only 5% of the population's eating right now, we have a nutritional gap in there. So I do recommend, even the medical doctors are saying everybody should be on a multivitamin. Unfortunately, they're not clarifying the quality of a multivitamin. So I'm big about whole food, again, like more like, like it's actually they dehydrate vegetables and fruits and things and put it into a pill form, so you're getting a higher nutrients. And I do hair analysis, I do symptom surveys, and do things to kind of dial people in on what exactly they need for their body, nutrient-wise, and supplements. But we know we're not getting enough nutrients in our diet today, so there is necessary. So my foundational things I tell people, most people do a whole food, multi-nutrient, do omega for sure, and then some trace minerals, like some of the minerals that way. So maybe some people need calcium, magnesium, things like that. So those are kind of my foundational. Some people throw in if they have immune problems, like probiotic in there. So
do you test to see if they have any deficiencies? Do you do any blood tests or anything?
Blood tests things don't show up in blood until you're diseased. So that's you're failed already at that point. So that's why I do hair analysis. So hair analysis will pick up all your minerals, and I will see most of the minerals we need. So calcium, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium. So I can see where somebody's either taking too much calcium, like a lot of these women are, taking, because the medical doctor just blatantly, everybody over 40 needs to be on 50 milligrams of calcium, and I have calcium off the charts, and I'm like, you don't need it, or you're not getting a good kind that your body's processing. So we kind of can dial people in properly onto that, and then so that's how I work on that. And then I had another thought that came on there. I don't know, remember but we had talked about exercise. I tell people 30 minutes minimum a day of some kind of physical activity. Like we started off talking about, everybody's paying attention to their steps, but a little bit more than that. Try to get your cardiac rate up there. And that one class I talked about, they were saying, they kind of were scaling over a week if you got like 150 minutes or some, so many minutes that was saying that your health would be here, and if you do 200 minutes, so the more minutes you have of exercise, the healthier your outcome should be in life. So it's pretty interesting how they have these quantitative studies on this now. A good way, I do this with a lot of patients, because is doing a food diary, just keeping it track. And I'm old school, still write it down on a piece of paper. There's something about writing it down. Yeah. There is, I know, apps to keep track, and that is helpful as well, but I give them a piece of paper. It's a week. I said I want at least 5 normal days, And majority of the patient comes back, it was a bad week. Oh, we're going to do another week then. Oh, it's a bad week. Oh, no. Now you're realizing your lifestyle is a bad diet.
It's a bad week.
Yeah, your lifestyle is a bad diet.
Not a bad week.
Yeah.
It's a bad lifestyle.
Yeah, so it's great for awareness. So you're just writing it down. Just write it down. Just jot down what you're eating, what you're drinking. I didn't even get into water or that stuff. I'm big about trying to get at least the 8 glasses, and avoiding any other beverages, unless maybe alcohol and things in moderation. And also keeping track of your exercise log too, what kind of activities you're doing. So that's something you could do with the Fitbit, is keep track, but actually monitor it, not just say, oh, well, I got it today, but not pay attention to when you're hitting your goals with that. So what we measure and what we pay attention to is what grows. That's like, there's a law out there. I forgot what the name of the law is. Yeah. So the more we pay attention, the more that we can improve in those areas. I talked about the quality. Make sure any supplement you have, make sure it's quality, it's a good source, good company. There's a lot of great companies that are out here, not just the ones that I work with. So I meet people all the time. Just make sure they're a good company and they have a good quality source, and that their products, what their product says it is. Whole food, make sure it's close to nature. We talked about this. No fillers or extra ingredients. This is another thing. I have patients bring their supplements in, and even if they maybe go to a health food store or they go somewhere, I'll see, oh, why is this in there? Why is this in here? Like, they have fillers in these products. I went to a seminar like 6 months ago, and there was someone who went to the intro guy said he just got back from a conference, and it was saying how, I think it was echinacea or one of them, this one company was like, even they test like sportometer, like they'll have independent testing on to see if a product's what it says it is. They were putting stuff in there that they knew could mimic like echinacea or mimic some product, and it didn't have any of the actual echinacea or whatever in it. It was like if they put some other thing that they knew could mimic, and it was like, it's ridiculous just to make some bucks. It's ridiculous. So the industry is not monitored by FDA, so you have to be careful. A lot of people go, well, let's have it monitored, but then everything's going to skyrocket, and you can't afford for the things that they did. So you have to find companies that usually what they do is they get a co-op, and they have other companies involved that say, I can go in and test your product anytime I want, and we'll go in and test your product and prove that your stuff is what you say it is, and we'll hold you accountable, kind of thing, is how they're like self-regulating and making sure. But you want to make sure that the product is what the product is. Also, not even that, like echinacea, there's a certain part of the plant that has the medicinal properties and a part of the plant that doesn't have the medicinal property as much. And so they could say, oh, it's echinacea, but it's not the right part of the plant. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're selling you echinacea, really, but it's not the part that has the good stuff in it to help you. So you've got to really think about these things when you are supplementing. Again, like I do symptom surveys, hair analysis. We do have a DNA test to see if you have variants to help what nutrients are really good for you. And then, like I said, I already went over like my basics. And then herbs are great on some aspects too. I'm big about conservative, so I want to feed the body first, put the building blocks in, and see how the body thrives. If we need to add herbs are more a little heavier motivators, adaptogens, and kind of stimulate organs and help the body adapt a little better, but it's kind of a little bit more of a push. So I kind of save that until, let's see what we do if we just feed the body the nutrients, do the things we need to do, and most of the time we don't need the herbs. Though I have noticed in the last, like I said, I've been 16 years in practice. I've been doing this work almost from the beginning. The last couple of years, our society is getting so sick that a lot of times I have to bring in the herbs pretty early on just to kind of start getting some changes and just getting them healthier. So
I like the idea that you do the testing, because there's so many trends on, oh, you should have this or you should have this, and we're like, oh gosh, I need that or I need that, and we go to the health food store or wherever, and we're taking things that we don't really even know that we really need.
Right.
It's just because it's like they scare you.
Oh, I have patients. I'll bring all your supplements, and they'll bring a box
Yes.
supplements. Because, well, I heard this on the news, and I heard that in the news, and I did,
Exactly.
and this one I take sometimes, and this I take, and don't get me wrong, I mean, this time of year, like, I'm, like, recommending, like, echinacea and elderberry, just to help with the colds and flus, and help your immune system, boost the immune system. There's certain times that are seasonal, allergy time, I have other, N-acetylcysteine I recommend a lot during, allergy season that helps strengthen your mast cells, it decreases your histamine reactions. So I have natural things, that certain seasonal things too, where our body is. But you gotta do it smart, not just like throw stuff on.
Yeah, the latest trend.
Yeah. So I mean, I pretty much got it all. Make it fun. You can not just make it fun about activities too. I talk about that in my book. You know, you don't have to just go to the gym. You can go roller skating. You can go line dancing. I have patients that go line dancing. I have patients do whatever way to get activity in. It doesn't have to be like they're structured, stuffy, go to the gym, exercise. I personally like going to the gym myself, but that's me. So, anything else, you guys? Got any questions? Anyway, it's all about, you know, I like, you set before you your choices. You know, you have blessings and cursing, you know. Are you blessing yourself? Are you cursing yourself? What are you doing? You know, it is ultimately, we do have a choice. You know, our brains, we have free will. We have our brains that, you know, control us and don't let the body hijack your life. You know, you want to make sure that you are in control of this vessel, not the other way around. So, and that's my question. End of my series, my talk today. You guys got any questions? Heather?
Yeah, you mentioned vegetables 5 to 7 or something, or 5 to
5 to 7 surveys.
I'm
This is the
thinking-
whole thing. So I think the government just came out like 9. It's like last year, 7 to 9 servings a day. Nobody was getting 5. It used to be 5 to 7 servings was recommended. Nobody was even getting that. So let's keep adding things up. It's just why? I mean, we have to find an answer of
Because I thought
how.
it was higher, so maybe it's they just tried to raise it and.
They did raise it, but it's not. Nobody's doing it, so it's like, oh, that's fine. I mean,
Parents aren't being parents.
Yeah, but then you're looking at serving size. If you're talking about 7 servings of vegetables, that's like a huge platter, or could be if
Could be.
you're serving size.
well, this is another thing. I should have mentioned that too when I was going to talk.
Serving size.
People think like serving size, like they don't even have a concept of what serving size is. So I
Right.
tell people, because there's so much Google, you can Google it and they'll come up with so many tables. Like a banana is 2 serving sizes. Okay, so I usually cut a banana in half. I have like I said, when I do the banana, I do half the banana, or I put a half banana in my shake or whatever. Like it's like a quarter cup of blueberries. Okay, it's not that much. So really, it's not that hard. If you actually look at it and put it out, it's really not that
Right.
hard a way to do it. But so many people think, oh, I have to eat this huge salad, like 5 huge salads would be the 5. But no, that salad probably is already 3 servings.
What's your thought
So-
on the nuts? Portion of nuts. I mean, people can eat nuts like popcorn. Eat the whole
Right.
bowl.
Well, that's another thing that Aldi's got too, is they got the 100-calorie packages.
Packets. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it's a handful. So it's like, I don't know, I think it's like 10.
10.
Yeah, I
10
think it's
nuts
10.
are a serving.
I think it's 10, yeah. So it's,
It's hard
10.
to stop though at 10.
That's what I'm saying. So what your thoughts was? Try and stick to that tablespoon or
Yeah.
10 or
10.
Well, eat that and
10.
walk away and see, yeah, like, yeah. But
But
that's
at
why I
least
like
a
those
plus bag.
packages. Yeah, like that's it. Yeah, so eat that, or like I said, I'm like kind of like you, so I'll pair it with an apple or a banana or whatever to kind of get, or the cranberries, I like.
back to balance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know why. And that's another thing I've read books on. Some people need like the combos. They have to combine the different nutrients together.
They have
It's
some
like you have to have
help
protein and a
absorb-
fruit together, or they have to. And I'm kind of that way. I can't just eat like nut or a fruit. I have to have like a nut or something, or nut butter or something with it.
Well,
So
protein
almond butter.
keeps you hungry, or keeps you
Yeah.
satisfied longer.
Right, but I don't know why.
The carbs
I just
go through you
again.
faster.
I'm like, I listen to my body and like what it like needs and like innate, but a lot of us have tuned that out because of society. Like you got 20, how many commercials a day? If you have a headache, take this. If you have this, take that. let's turn it off. So you're like dumbing down your body, but I'm really really in tune with my body, so I kind of listen to that. So I read somewhere else too that is good to do those combos together. So
It's just scary to me when people are like, well, I'll take this pill, then I can eat anything I want.
oh my
And I'm just like, excuse me, excuse me. That they think it's a quick fix. Oh, I don't have to deprive myself. I'll just have this pill or this appetite suppressant. And those,
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
still eat unhealthy.
They still eat unhealthy. I
right.
know.
So it's still it's morphing the symptoms. All they're doing is again covering up the symptoms, distorting the symptoms, but you're not putting the building blocks in. You're not feeding the body. You're not changing the
Right
system.
fuel in.
All you're doing is perpetuating you to stay on
Right.
a medication or whatever indefinitely, which is great for big pharma because you don't get in that whole debate. So that's good for so you're perpetuating that. You're perpetuating. You have to take responsibility. That's pretty much my whole book is about ownership.
Yep.
Taking ownership of your body, of your health. It is your body, and you have to take care of it. And here's are some tips on how to take care of it better. So the people like that, they're happy that the symptoms are gone, but they're going to be that cliff that comes off. Like, oh, you're living longer, but you're sick. You're dysfunctional. The organs are eventually going to fail. They're eventually going to have more medications to more symptoms, and that's why we have I think over 65. They say the average person's taking 12 pills a day.
They're taking prescriptions, and then they're
12
taking
pills
other
a day.
prescriptions for the side effects from the first prescription.
Yeah, I think
and
over
it just
65, it's
becomes
like so it's like so you're manipulating because you got the blood pressure, and then you got to have the potassium because of the blood pressure, and that's 2 off the bat, and I don't even want to get the statins, and because we're not getting the good omega fats in, so we're putting the bad fats in, and they make you take a pill because you're eating too much of the bad fats to lower the way your body processes it, but then that affects the heart because that robs you of CoQ10, so therefore it's going to set you up with heart
You're creating
problems.
imbalance.
I'm more about let's feed the body and create balance and feed the weaknesses so the body can come back and heal. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I had a patient that he tried natural, and I was even against it. He was coming to 190 over 100, 120. 190 over 120 one time. We got a blood pressure reading on him. So 120 over 80 is normal, ideal. And I'm like, I don't know how you don't have a headache. I don't know how you're stroking out for and he was we were scared. So I'm like, I have in my notes, recommend to go to the doctor. He's like, well, I want to try this. And we did try to do some magnesium, Hoffenberg, some stuff. And I just knew it was probably not going to be enough because whatever. He had already been too far down the route. And so he got him on some blood pressure finally after 2 months. He finally went in the doc, got some blood pressure meds. And it got it to now it's 140. It's not great, 140 over 90, but I'm not worried that he's gonna stroke out in my office. But again, because he was so natural, he didn't. It was anti-medication, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but your body's too far gone. Maybe you could have tried natural 5 years ago, but we're not at that point. You kind of waited too long. The truck is about to fall off the cliff, and I don't want to be a part of that. And it did get him, but at the same time now, trying to, encourage him on doing lifestyle changes and all that. At the same time, not just relying on the medication to do all the work for him. But yeah, so there's a place.
It's complex.
Yeah, there's a place for medicine. They are great at saving our lives. If you get a car accident, they're great at stitching you up and putting you back together. If you have a heart attack, they will save your life. It's the maintenance, the long-term care, the consistent care. That's where they are not great at. And that's how we rank in our system. Rank our country on crisis care, we're up at the top. On chronic care, we're at the bottom. So there's this big divide. We got to figure out how, and part of it is I don't know why. I've been trying to work with the medical field for 16 years of why we can't come together to co-manage patients. Now don't get me wrong, they aren't poo-poo on me what I do. They don't negative talk about me or slander me anymore, which they used to 20 years ago. They're like, oh, you're a quack. Now they don't say that anymore. They're like, oh, if that's working for you, that's great. But if someone came in, they would not go see this person. This is not my scope. You need to go to this, you know.
Because it's easier to just give them medication.
But
Because they'll tell you
not even
lose weight and
well,
exercise,
I'm
but
gonna
they can't
defend them.
monitor that.
I'm gonna defend them on that side though. Is you're going to me and all I'm trained in, or you know, I'm saying
Yeah.
the medical side. All I'm trained in is burn it, cut it, or poison it.
Yep.
That's the only tools in my toolkit. You're coming to me. I have all these things. This is all I'm trained in. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
Right.
Or
Unless-
go to a nutritionist.
Unless
and
they
won't
step
try.
out of the box, like Dr. You know, I was here a couple months ago when Dr. Leela was here, and she does the functional side, and she's doing nutrition and IV. Like she's doing more. She's dealing with a lot sicker people than I deal with. The IV, you know, vitamins and things like that. She, you know, but she stepped out of her box, went to a different seminar, and realized, oh my gosh, I can help these people naturally, like you know. So she's got like her foot in both things. She's still an ER doctor,
Wow.
but
So
at the
one
same
day a
time,
week she deals with the traumatic side of things,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the other
but-
6 days
but
a week
at the
she
same
deals
time,
with.
she saw the train wreck, but what that came was a personal journey on her own because she had a chronic problem, and the medical side wasn't addressing. Plus, she has like more of that Eastern culture already inbuilt, you know,
Yeah.
kind of in her a little bit to kind of start that too, and realized, okay, they have all this, and I'm not feeling better, and she kind of started experimenting with the functional side and realized, oh, I'm feeling better, and I'm gonna do this, you know, and so she's trying to transition where she does this full time, but they're just, that's the tools they're given. You can't, like, it's like,
Right.
you know, if they don't know, they don't know. I mean, but
Well, they don't get paid for that either. When I went to my mother's doctor and said, you know, she had all of those weight related diseases,
Mhm.
and I said, so if she lost weight,
Mhm.
would she